Alright, good morning everybody. Welcome, thank you for watching this video. We're going to be talking about jazz and improvisation and about the guitar. I would like to welcome the new people who joined Patreon, and thank you for subscribing. I hope you bring more people as well. This is just, you can subscribe for as little as $3, and you can also pay more if you think this is worthwhile. To make it worthwhile, let's dive into the subject of the day, which is practicing restricted rhythms. So that's one thing. It's kind of a weird concept for improvisation, that in order to be free and just improvise freely and create these beautiful narratives, in order to achieve that, it's a good idea to practice restricting the elements. So when you hear a player like Charlie Parker, John Coltrane, like the best improvisers in the history of life, they all practiced, Coltrane especially, I guess there's more record of Coltrane, of people talking about how he practiced. And I don't know which book was it, but somebody saying that they went to visit Coltrane and he practiced just a C major scale for the entire day. So, which is totally believable. But what I want to talk about today is about just restricting the ideas rhythmically. So what do I mean by that? Well, to begin with, before actually, if I can keep track of what I'm thinking about talking, I'm going to demonstrate ideas on scales first, and then apply to a blues, and then maybe apply to a standard as well. And then there will be a half hour, everybody will be out of here. Let's start with scales. So let's see, if you play just quarter notes, I'm going to play a C major scale, just quarter notes. And ideally you want to use a metronome. I'm going to use my feet here for now. So like, so 2 octaves. Beautiful, right? And then this is quarter notes. Now let's do 8 notes. Now, the thing that and then if you can do 16 notes. And more or less. But then the thing that I think it's important, see if you play those figures that I played quarter notes, and I played 8 notes and 16 notes. Everything sounds very much in a grid. You know, it's like, which could be a good thing. So let's see, I'm going to improvise using only those 3 figures on the blues in F. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 8 notes, quarter notes. So it's a little bit of a challenge to keep the ideas flowing and keep the same rhythm. Towards the end here, I came to I think it's easier to demonstrate playing just, I'll do one more chord, 2 more chords just using only quarter notes. Almost sound like a walking bass. You know, bass players usually they keep the quarter notes if they walk in a bass line. But let's try to create lines using only quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. So now 8 notes only. 1, 2, 3, 4. okay, so 2 chords is only 8 notes. So that's the thing. I said I lied to you. I said I was going to demonstrate on scales first. I guess I did the C major scale. So 8 notes. It's one thing. Usually people, when they're starting to learn about, like, jazz students, you know, there's a difference between jazz players and jazz students. There's this phenomenon that of people playing just streams of 8 notes, you know, for ages. It gets boring pretty quickly, right? If you don't use syncopation, you know, like or just breaks and syncopations, things to break up the string of 8 notes, especially on the guitar, because we don't have to breathe, right? On the saxophone, you start playing. You run out of air, right? On the guitar, that doesn't really happen. You can play. Piano and guitar is 2 instruments that it can be very annoying, just like forever. Just like, oh, when is it gonna stop? Never. So when you hear the great masters of improvisation ever, even the crazy skilled people who had crazy chops, they use breaks on their. If you hear John Coltrane, Art Tatum, gee, there's no better example of chops, right? Even though he used to do this crazy streams of 700 minutes per, having 700,000 notes per millisecond, he used breaks as well. Charlie Parker, like very, you know, you know, you always hear that there's like, you hear the interaction with the band, he's playing in the pocket, he's listening to everybody, it's perfect, and then he died. But that's not the point here. So the point here is to practice limited rhythms, sticking with one rhythmic idea. So so I already demonstrated using quarter notes on the blues, demonstrated using 8 notes. I want to say also using 8 notes, one player that comes to mind that uses 8 notes, still uses on the recordings, Pat Martino. Guitar player Pat Martino, he had this thing in which he would play 8 notes forever and make it sound good, you know, kind of an exception, I guess, to the amount, like, kind of using this. He used a lot of syncopation as well, we must say. He was like. Kind of Pat Martino-ish. A lot of people do much better impersonations of Pat Martino. But he used to break up his 8 streams of 8 notes with this thing here, kind of, which leads us to the closing thing here that I want to mention about this video. To use, so I mentioned quarter notes, 8 notes, and 16th notes a little bit. But there's this, when you play those figures that I mentioned, everything, it sounds a little bit predictable. It sounds a little bit boxed, maybe. I want to introduce the idea for you to using triplets also. That kind of opens up, I would dare say it's like triplets, it's like opens up a room for a parallel reality type of thing. What do I mean by that? So C major scale, if you're playing just quarter notes. Now quarter note triplets. So now in the space that I was playing 8 notes before, whatever. Da 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 da. In this space here, I'm playing 2. If I'm playing 8 notes, that means in one beat, I'm playing 2 notes, right? 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. etc. Now, if I'm playing quarter note triplets, I'm playing 3 notes instead of 2 on that space. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. Not only 3 notes, not just like 3 notes squeezed in that space randomly. No, 3 notes of precisely equal value. So it's going to sound like this. Da, 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 da. 1, 2, 3, 4. So why did I say that it opens a parallel reality, a portal to a parallel universe? Because those 3 notes that have equal value, if you, I'm not going to tell you about it. You can calculate the mathematical relationship that's going to happen here, but here's the thing. I'm going to see how I'm shifting my accents. Now opens up, if I can imagine those triplets, instead of being triplets, being 8 notes playing a different tempo. So yeah, back up a little bit. Earlier we were playing. Here was the tempo, right? No. I guess something like 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Now triplets. Still same tempo, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So what I did, the very last thing that I just did, let me say while it's fresh. I was counting in the previous tempo, but I was playing, I switched from 8 notes to triplets, right? And then the triplet feel like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So I just, with the feel, remember what I said before, the 3 notes when you're playing triplets, they have to have exactly the same value, right? Within one beat, ta 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 ta, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. If they have the same, if you stop counting and just think of ta 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 ta. I was putting the accent on every 3 notes, so you made it clear, like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. So it would be clear where the 1 is, where the beats are. Now, if you take away the accent on the every 3 notes, if you just play, then you can make the accent on whichever number you want. If you make it an even number, like 2 or 4, then that becomes a new tempo. It's as simple as that. Meaning, instead of being 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, it could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and that's what I did. Now, okay, so it may sound a little bit, if you take whatever notes, that may be a little bit easier to understand, if that's a new subject for you. If you already know, then you already know, good for you. Let me demonstrate on the blues in F now, and hopefully that's going to be a little bit more clear than just explaining with words. So I'm going to play a blues in F, playing 2 quarters of just quarter notes and 2 quarters of just quarter notes, or 8 notes. Let's do 8 notes, and then switch to quarter note triplets. So it's going to be 2 notes per beat, and then it's going to switch to 3 notes per beat. It's going to be lots of notes, so get ready. 1, 2, 3, 4. I play breaks as well, just give myself a break. Second chorus. Now triplets. 1, 2, 3, 4. Verse 2. Something like that. I hope it was at least what I said about the parallel rhythmic reality is this. If you're playing triplets. See, that you can kind of imply there. Now I guess we got to the point in which you either understood or you did. So I'm gonna stop trying. And I hope this was somewhat clear. And then you can listen to players, I mean, especially people use triplets since forever. You know, you can hear, I mean, I mentioned our Tatum earlier on. He does those flurries of triplets. It sounds very free-flowing, you know, like it sounds like there's no rhythm. It sounds very like speech-like. I think that's a good way to put it. So, and I mean, Art Tatum in the late 20s, in the 30s, he would use, in the 40s, he would use those type of stuff. But I think you can see that more. I would dare say maybe like in the early 90s, people like Chris Potter, you know, guitar player Adam Rogers, he liked playing those strings of triplets as well, like implying other rhythmic figures. Okay, so yeah, that's enough for today. I hope you enjoy, and please send me topics to talk about. If not, I'm gonna come up with them myself. Usually it's whatever I'm working on at the time. And yeah, I'll see you next time.